when you were reading through the Bible, you came across instances where people were instructed to kill other people. And you did a neat thing, and you turned that to yourself and you asked, what if God asked me to kill? When did you first think of that question? How did it affect you?
I can't say exactly when I first thought of that question exactly, but I thought about it over the years as a Christian, um, more so towards the end, closer to my deconversion. I don't think I really like to think about that stuff in high school and college. I pretty much didn't, but um, it scared me. It terrified me that if God came down and said, "Tony, take this sword, go over to that Islamic preschool, and I want you to plunge this sword into the stomach of those children." I mean, he pretty much commanded that. He commanded that in the Old Testament. So if he did it then, what if he did it today? It terrified me. And I knew that I would have to answer that question with, yes, I would do it. I mean, if God's God and you're going to believe the Old Testament, if God came to you as a Christian and told you to do that, you would have to do that. Now, I would like to say back then, I would like to say that I would do it, but I think if God really came down to a Christian today and said that, I think most Christians would say no. They would say that they would say yes, but most of them ultimately I think would say no, because I think they know deep down inside that it's wrong and it's immoral, and that's what I don't understand. And what's wrong for us should be wrong for God. If it's immoral to kill and to rape and to kidnap, then it should be immoral for God to do the same and to order the same. So I'd ask myself, does God operate on a philosophy of do as I say, not as I do? It sure seems like it.
I don't think I ever faced that question in my own journey because I thought, the Old Testament was just people totally misunderstanding God and misusing religion.
Right.
But Jesus got it right. You know, that was how I. That's why I never had to deal with that question. And the fact that you did, I find that really inspiring. That you were so.
And that's also probably the difference between somebody from a more liberal background versus a more conservative fundamentalist background. That's why the more fundamentalist, more fundamental, excuse me, you get, the closer you get to becoming an extremist. That's why some people strap on bombs on their persons and blow themselves up.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Why do people often not hold God to the same moral standards they hold other humans?
Wow. Because God is God. He can do what he wants. I mean, that's something I'd probably say when I was a believer, and it's what I've heard other Christians say. God is God. He can do what he wants, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because if that's the case, because I'd always tell people that there is absolute truth and there is an absolute morality. Well, if God is God and he can do whatever he wants, and he tells us not to kill, killing's wrong, but then he can kill men, women, children, babies whenever he wants, then really morality is relative. So it's kind of like, which is it? And that was one of the things that I came to. I mean, there really is no absolute morality. If God's allowed to go kill whatever he wants to, whenever he wants to, whoever he wants to, then, killing is really not immoral.
So it sounds like that's a losing proposition if a theist says, well, God is God, God can do whatever God wants, then they cannot at the same time say, oh, and morality is
an absolute. Yeah. So in order to support one point, they're going to trample over the other.
One accusation you're probably going to face is you're angry at God.
Oh, I've faced it already. It's usually in the context of when I start talking about the atrocities. But here's the thing: one, I'm not angry at God. I can't be angry at something that doesn't exist. I have an issue when I look at these atrocities because it was one of the factors that led me away from Christianity. And that's why I use it. That's why I communicate to Christians a lot with the atrocities. You could look at textual criticism and debate all day. You could debate about the historicity of Jesus. You could debate about archaeological evidence, this and that. But when you look at the atrocities, it is what it is. You just read the stories. God ordered this, period. To kill the men, women, children, torture the horses. And for me, when I was a believer and I started studying this during my journey of deconversion, yes, it did make me mad, and I struggled with it. And it did piss me off. But now it doesn't. You know, it just doesn't. But it is a reason why. And sometimes I do get passionate about it because when I'm talking to believers, I can't believe that they want to worship a being that condoned and ordered these atrocities. That's kind of when I get passionate, you know. And we live in a Christian society, and we have Christians who want to get involved politically and are using the scriptures to back what they want done. And so there are a lot of issues I have with the atrocities of God, but I'm not mad at them because there's no one to be mad at.